Now, the race for who becomes the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives is no less intense, with all the heat on the Governing All Progressives Congress, APC. In the week, more and more aspirants made open declarations for the speakership, despite the zoning arrangements announced by the APC leadership, as members threatened to set aside the zoning formula on the day of the proclamation of the 10th House of Representatives. Those in the race now include Mukhtar Aliyu Betara, Tajuddin Abbas, Ahmed Wase, Yusuf Gaji, Adodogwa, and others. Now, there are also threats that there will be consequences, and if there is any alleged opposition, the members will not hesitate to rebel against the party's leadership. And of course, we have joining us in the studio a former member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Zakari Mohammed, who was also at one time a spokesperson of the House, and he understands the intrigues, having been a two-term member of the House of Representatives. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's talk about the zoning. I mean, you've been in this party, you've understood these intrigues, and in 2015, some of you were there when eventually you decided to circumvent the APC's decision. Talk to us about that.
Well, thank you for having me once again. And the governing laws of the parliament is actually the constitution. The constitution is the governing norm of all parliaments world over. Section 50, subsection 1A and 1B. 1A talking about the leadership of the Senate, 1B talking about the leadership of the House. And it clearly states that there shall be a speaker to be elected from amongst the elected members to preside. They say there shall, and the word is shall. When it's the word is shall, it's emphatic, there's emphasis. They didn't say he shall be appointed. So this is the first time, about the second time I would say, well, this is the first time that the party is sending, there's nothing wrong about the party doing its zoning. No, it's world over, it's done. The party has a right to fix the zoning for convenience and political expediency. However, what is very wrong is macro zoning. I say that we want a reporter to represent, or your organization arise, but it has to be ex-reporter. So I think if that is thrown to you, even at the management, I'm sure that you'll be asking questions. Why this person? So I think that is what is exactly wrong. In 2011, if you remember, the government wanted Honorable Mulekata Gadiola. She's eminently qualified to be the Speaker of the House. But because the government of the day then threw their weight behind her, and a lot of undercurrents went on, members saw that we actually want the independence of the legislature, and that era was tambualized.
Yeah, I mean, you were in that house, and in 2015 you were in PDP then.
Yeah, we ran what we call we ran what we call the House project. And in the House project, it was just that we wanted our independence by all means. And that election went, and there was a huge gap between Tambuwal and Mulekata Gadiola. And she eventually became the House leader. Very eminently qualified, but because of the fact that perhaps if it had gone on our own merit, our name, she might have had her way. But the party zoned it to the southwest then. You remember people like Muraina Sobana came up who wanted to be too, but withdrew at the 11th hour. In 2015 too, the same scenario threw up itself. Government says that they have their zoning formula. In the Senate, Senator Bukola Saraki came up, and in the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara came up. We ran the same project, and we don't learn. That's the thing. And the sad thing is that we as leaders and elites of this country, or world over, don't learn, but particularly elites in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. Yeah, we don't learn from history. There've always been consequences. We don't learn from history, because when we saw this list, even though some of us are not members of their party, we were like, what is happening? And of course, the threats that they are giving are not empty threats. I must tell you that whatever we say, all the analysis that we're doing, at the end of the day, it's between the 360 members and 109 members that are senators. So by June 13th, they will give us their result. And I'm sure.
Well, let's talk about some of the top contenders who felt spited by this decision to back Tajuddin Abbas. And in this force that we had, this microzoning, a lot of people were actually angry about it. And these top contenders stormed the APC National Secretariat with one of the leading contenders, Betara Aliyu, actually saying that, look, this is the first time that we're even hearing so much about this person. The person you're nominating, we don't even know him. And a lot of Nigerians were taken by surprise that someone who's the chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, who has been in the House for several years, says many of the members don't know Tajuddin Abbas.
In actual fact, we got into the House in 2011 with Tajuddin Abbas, and it's from Zaria. I remember that he was, I said later he became chairman of land transport or thereabout. What is important in the House is that the Speaker becomes primus inter pares, first among equals. And how does he get his mandate? All of you resolve. You cede the power to him to rule over you. The party can persuade via its zoning. Where the party is very important is the leadership positions. For instance, the leader of the House, which will have to go to the majority, the chief whip and all other positions like that. Minority will go to minority party and all that and all that. That is where the party comes in. The zoning formula of the party is persuasive, and the constitution is very clear. It didn't even say from the majority party, no. They say from amongst themselves. But we all know that for convenience and for the expediency on ground, the majority party must produce. And let me tell you, the APC does not have the luxury of jokes that they are doing with themselves.
You think so?
Yeah,
because I mean, they are also grandstanding
if the
that
minority,
they have the powers to whip everybody to lie.
If the minority decide to develop brain waves and they get themselves together, and I'm sure that they will throw up surprises. So I think it's in the interest of the ruling parties to sit down and, of course, consider that list itself. Nobody wants to own it again because the party is saying wherever it came from, they would have to revisit it. And
but do you believe the APC national chairman when he says they are going to review it?
I believe him,
especially those threats. Because I mean, I saw the day that
for him,
Betara,
you know,
actually, just hold on. Yeah. On the day that he declared here, I mean, everywhere was filled up. It's like the whole of Abuja was here, and then you had others. So people were saying that, look, it looks like APC didn't really think this thing out. Or okay, there's a cabal.
Let me tell you exactly
this.
what happened there. Abbas is a fourth-timer, eminently qualified to be Speaker of the House. I think the other Ben Kalu is a second-timer. So let's say that, and you have over 260-something new members coming in. They need leadership. They need experience to guide them through legislation. The legislation is a slow meal. It grants very slowly. You need to put people through it. And our what they call it, our turnover, this turn-by-turn thing, has weakened the institution of the legislature. But there's nothing you can do about it. The people decide who comes. And anybody they elect there becomes their representative. But here is the gist. The legislature is the only institution that does its business in the open. And that's exactly why when you're going to the National Assembly, the open space where there's a statue, that's the mandate square. That's where everybody comes to protest. If you are going to court, you must file notice that the judge, you can't bump into the judge. You cannot just go to see the president without notice or the minister. But the assembly is the only place, whether house or assembly or legislature, it's the only place where you just go, wake up, arrange yourselves, and you'll be given chance to be listened to. So it's the passion of democracy. In fact, we call it the first arm of government. And that's exactly why everything that has to do with it, you need to handle it with care. And what I can see, by June 13th, they will spring surprises. All the candidates, the deputy speaker it's out there. The chairman appropriation is about the 50.
I mean, this is the first time I'm actually seeing all of this. The deputy speaker, the majority leader, the appropriation committee chairman, and you know, these powerful committees. All the heads of these committees are coming out to
in the legislature. We respect ranking. We don't hang ranks like soldiers, but we respect. Even in our sitting arrangement. We don't just sit anyhow. We sit, we arrange ourselves. It's very difficult. When I was the first timer, chairman, Committee on Media and Public Affairs, I had the privilege of being sat on the 5th row because the speaker or the presiding officer from time to time will need my attention. That's why they gave me that privilege. Else, I'll be thrown where my colleagues were thrown. I mean, that is the thing. That's the parliament for you. We sit according to seniority. The people you see,
the constitution doesn't specify. And that's why people are bringing this argument that the issue of ranking should be set aside.
That's practice. The law does not take everything into cognizance, no, but by practice. If I come in here, why do you have an editor? Why do you have a line editor? Why do you have this? Why do you have that? Because you want moderation. I cannot take a reporter who just came in yesterday and say he would be the editor. There will be disaster. Or you bring in somebody from the street today and say, come and cast the news. I'm sure you watch some drama. So he has to go through the mill. And that's exactly what is the thing with the legislature. We hold it very, very dear. When you hear ranking in the legislature, we hold it very, even in America, where we copied this from, he would put it on his door, ranking chair. If he's a chairman of a committee, he will tell you he's a ranking chair. So that was it.
Are there going to be consequences if any of these other contenders, whether it's Wase or it's Yusuf Gaji or Betara or any of these other persons, if they go against the party's decision, will there be a consequence? Because I know that somebody like Bukola Saraki suffered as a result of that, including Yakubu Dogara too.
But let me tell you something. Whatever consequences you are throwing at, those guys have become presiding officers. If you are looking at the history of the National Assembly, Saraki will be called the president of the 8th Senate.
Yeah, but this party has tried to even remove his portrait from...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Dogara will be called the speaker of the 8th Assembly. There's nothing you can do about it. And they ran throughout their tenure. Nothing happened. Good legislation were churned out.
In fact, them here and there.
The 8th Assembly churned out the highest number of bills and whatever. So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there's not going to be consequences. At the end of the day,
you think so?
Anything that goes hot must go cold. Anything that...
but how about the issues of the EFCC visiting them every now and then? People are going to the Code of Conduct Tribunal and all of that.
How did they end? Because the courts will look at the issues according to their merits and decide. So I believe the party, as powerful as the party will be, I'm sure themselves are embarrassed by what came out. You don't microzone. It's like tightening their hands. There's a difference between democracy and autocracy or any other form of government. Is the parliament. And the parliaments are anybody that has stayed in the parliament for too long, it is very difficult for you to convert him to say he should come and be in any other arm of government because there's so much freedom to express yourself, to say your views.
Now, should these top contenders believe the APC national chairman when he asks, the senators
they should
to actually hold their fire?
The chairman is a ranking senator, and the secretary is a senator too. And I know that in the list of the NWC in the APC, there are a lot of legislators there. I'm sure they know the consequences
including
of
Deputy
this.
National Chairman.
All of them know exactly what it is. And in fact, why they are this worried, they know what we do. At the twilight of the election, you will see what will happen. A night before, from a few hours, that is where they will take. So all these dramas that are happening, by 12th, midnight, on 12th of June, you exactly know what is happening, and you can't stop them. I remember in our time, they said we should write, if you are voting, put your name, your constituency. Yeah. We said we will attach our passport photographs so that in case you are in doubt. And we did same. So let me tell you, what is even very interesting about the Green Chambers is that they have very little baggage. A lot of them are coming in fresh, so they can dare anything.
So now let's talk about the process. Before it will get to the election of the speaker, the Senate would have finished its own election.
That's what
because the clerk of the National Assembly will go to the Senate first, conduct that one. It is from there that those in the House will hear whispers as to what has happened.
So let me tell you,
how does that usually affect the mood?
Let me tell you, if peradventure the APC does not change its position, and Yari, Kalu, or Osinaso, any of them emerges, you can be sure that one out of these other people would emerge. Because anybody who has his colleagues' confidence in him will definitely have the day. That's the truth. There's nothing you can do about it. Because every member of the National Assembly, immediately we get in there, we forget party temporarily. Because the truth of the matter is that... your
colleagues will say they just drop the party at the door.
At the doorstep. So that maybe the closest friends are people of different parties. In my 8 years in the National Assembly, my very good friends, bosom friends whose families are very attached, are members of we're not from the same parties. We don't even
you have talked to some of these colleagues, gone into different businesses with them. Have you seen anyone that has the potential to unite the House, even though you're not going to be in the 10th assembly among all these contenders?
Yeah, let me tell you something. Of all of them, just like I say, any member who has stayed in the parliament for a while will definitely. But you see, you choose the best. If you go on planting, you look at the seed that can grow best. You have Umar Aliu Betara, you have the deputy speaker, you have, what they call it, Adodogwa. They are all eminently qualified. But amongst them, who can hold them together? They have seen all of them. Deputy Speaker was Deputy Speaker. Appropriation Chairman, Betara was Appropriation Chairman. Adudoga was Majority Leader. How did they fare in their last assignment? So those are the indicators. And when you take your time, because all of these people I'm very close to, they're my friends. So I won't pass judgment, but I know exactly where a lot of them are heading towards. They are heading towards a direction. And of course, if you are Appropriation Chairman and your colleagues cannot access you, then you have missed it. Well, if you are able to use the office very well, they'll always be chanting your names. They call Aliu Betara the head boy. It has reasons.
Yeah, I mean, even Fem Gbajabiamila.
They call him head boy. So in the parliament, for people to concede you being head boy, I'm sure that there could be something.
Okay, talk to us about the role of Godfathers. I mean, you have come from a certain political family, the Bukola Saraki political family, and that in one way or the other would have influenced how you would have voted on the days that you were in the House in 2011, 2015, and all of that. Talk to us how some of these people usually put pressure.
No,
on
there won't be
these,
pressure. For instance, I can only speak for me. I don't know. But the way it was, I remember in 2011, we had a meeting, Kwara Caucus, of the Senate and of the House. It's a joint one. And we sat down and said, okay, what is happening? We all looked at it and said, in our own case, Tambuwal is going to have the day. What are your reasons? We put up our positions. Okay. What of you people in the Senate? The way we are looking at it, there's no way we can replace David Mark. He's likely going to come back. So what do we do? In order, because in Kwara too is a delegation. Yeah. We don't want to go to Abuja and not come back with dividends of democracy in terms of committee headships.
Because I mean, it has to do with projects.
The projects that will come with. So we don't want to miss the ball. So what do we do? So Godfather does not have any role other than coordination. He will sit with you and say, what we have is leader. He was a leadership. He will say, okay, what did you see? What did I see? And we'll all compare notes and we'll agree. Okay, from our own end, this is what we think will pay us. Okay, we too, we think we'll go to this direction. And exactly what happened in 2011, that was happening in 2015. As they were doing the Saraki's project in 2015, we were doing Dogara's project. And we fused the two projects together. And that's the interesting thing. Yeah. Don't be surprised that whoever is not, it's not zoned to the Yaris, the Kalus, and Sunasos will be working together with the Wases, the Betaras, and others here. Don't be surprised. We'll be holding joint meetings.
That's intrigue, actually.
No, definitely. That's the thing. Because they are all facing the same fate. And I'm sure whoever advised the party heard that the outgoing speaker was responsible for the list. That's very unfortunate because... Yeah,
I mean, there have been accusations
the questions we ask is, if somebody was my deputy for some time, if somebody was my appropriation chairman who stabilized the House for me, if somebody was the leader of the House in my time, those are the questions. And you went outside all this and
why do you think Gbajabiamila will insist on Tajuddin? Do you think it's also the larger project of the
for me,
president-elect?
I believe we have not learned, as leaders, we don't learn anything. It's just to be relevant. I think just to be relevant.
Don't you think Tinubu has a role to play in this? And then Nasser El-Rufai too has been
wants to be president. He's president already. So what does he want?
Yeah, but there are talks here and there that he's actually oiling, the wheels of those who gave him support, like Nasser El-Rufai.
But can I tell you something? You don't use parliamentary position to compensate people. There's the office of SGF, there's chief of staff, there's SA domestic, there's ministerial appointment.
People don't want to believe that.
Appoint them there. But if you want to do that in the National Assembly, you'll be embarrassed. That's the truth. You'll be embarrassed. That's it. And exactly. I hope the president-elect know he was a senator before. His wife is a ranking senator, and I'm sure that he would be guided because this is a booby trap and a time bomb. Whoever tells you this will go the way of government, I can bet anything it won't. I can tell you.
Okay.
We're all confident.
Let's talk about the House of Reps and its processes. As we head towards the 10th House of Representatives, how do you think Nigerians can get a leadership that, doesn't look like it's a rubber stamp? Because that's the challenge that this outgoing night assembly is facing, that, they were just a rubber stamp to President Muhammad Buhari and all of that.
I don't know about that. My colleagues,
well, they keep denying it.
My colleagues, they're struggling with it. Because I think the Senate President goofed at the beginning, and I can say it to his face. Why would you say that anything the President brings as an arm of government will approve?
Yeah.
What manner of sacrifice is that? You're a ranking member of the House of Representatives and, of course, the House of the Senate. I don't think he missed the ball by saying that. Even if you are members of the same family, any day that they're all agreeing with you, you know that they're digging your grave for you.
Yeah, there's a problem.
But for instance, I don't know, I heard that a loan has been put forward before we go on. I don't think that is even the loan, whatever how pressing it is says to take care of some social security. So I think that should be thrown to the dustbin of history. Let the president-elect come. And with this process, in how many days, what do you want to do with that? So I believe that's, of course, those are the reasons why people think that. And in the 8th Senate and the 8th Assembly, a lot more of things where I remember that there was a proposal of the budget. And the question we asked then was to say that, okay, Mr. President, two things. What would you use these monies for? Clearly stated. How do we repay them? And moreover, these are the questions you asked. So we're not blocking, we didn't block any loans, and people. And so I believe that going forward in the night, in the 10th Assembly, because a lot of them are new, you need a very strong leadership that can put them in place so that legislation will not be slowed down. Because of lack of experience, a lot of laws could drag.
Yeah, but generally, how do you look at the issues of the zoning in terms of the geopolitics of it?
But for me, it's a party affair, and whoever you ask, for instance, my zone, the North Central, it will be telling you that we're neglected. So if you go to, okay, for instance, we are saying, why would Betara, after having the vice president, why would you want to contest? But it happened in 2019. The outgoing vice president, Osibajo, is from Lagos.
Before he changed his
no, I'm coming. Femi Gbajabiamila is from Lagos, and that how they ran it. It was because Osibajo wanted to become president. He went to Ogun, his state of origin. So for me, that does not matter. And in our rules, the constitution to itself didn't say he has to be from. No. So how
about the issues of religious balancing?
I know, you see, with the APC's Muslim ticket, I think with time, we're going to begin to forget some of those things. Much as it is against federal character, much as like it is against federal character, maybe those kind of things might develop or strengthen our democracy, I think. But because Nigerians returned him in whatever form, and I think that religion normally in the National Assembly plays a very back seat,
Okay, I won't allow you to go without asking you this last question. There's the issue of loyalty that the president-elect is talking about. Like I heard among his circles, that should in case something goes wrong with the Election Petitions Tribunal and is asked to go for a rerun or anything, he would need a number 3 and number 4 person that can hold fort for him while he goes to the polls.
Is the party?
Do you think there's any loyal person among these persons, both in the Senate and House, that he can trust enough?
No, for me, anybody who has come out, who has occupied a very sensitive position in their House, what they call it, somebody says in charge of your purse. I believe that. I believe that you can trust him enough. I think
you're talking about Mokhtar Betara.
Somebody says it.
Yeah, lots of people have been mentioning his name, and a lot of people have been wondering who is this person that's pulling this sort of weight among his colleagues and alongside the majority leader and then the deputy speaker. So, well, it's all left for Nigerians to
not Nigerians. The voters are the 360 members.
Yeah, to watch and see, because on that day, it's only those who are on the floor.
All of us will be watchers. Now we'll just be onlookers.
All right.
Like
well, thank you so much,
Thank you very much for having
Mohammed. Is a former federal lawmaker. He was part of the Kwara delegation to the National Assembly in 2011, 2015, and he was a one-time spokesperson of the House of Representatives. We
I was commissioner, was I say?
Commissioner, essay, journalist, everything put together. I mean, very fantastic gentleman.
Thank you very much. Grateful.
And we wish you all the best in your political career.
Thank you very much.
And that's how we'll have to leave it at this part of the conversation. We started earlier with the Labour Party and the minority parties in the Senate and with the House of Representatives. So on this note, that we will thank you for staying with us. See you next week. I'm Sumner Sambo.